Hello everyone and welcome to Call of Cthulhu Shadow of the Comet, our next game in Lovecraftian video game retrospective. And this game was made by the same people who also made Alone in the Dark, but unlike Alone in the Dark, which did reference Lovecraft and did have Lovecraftian elements, this game is actually a license from the Chaosium pen and paper RPG Call of Cthulhu. And this game is another adventure, and this time it's a point-and-click adventure. Unless you have the DOS version, then it's just keyboard controlled. And that kind of shows. So this game has slightly awkward controls. Your main character can't really walk in diagonal lines. He can only walk horizontally and up and down. So if you want to navigate him through some place, you have to move in zigzag, which is a little bit awkward. And the menu isn't the best. I wish it would just have the standard Monkey Island menu, which really was the best for adventure games. But overall, this still works perfectly fine. And it's still one of the better Lovecraftian games, both with regard to story and characters and with regard to gameplay. And this game looks very, very pretty. You can probably tell that from the screenshots. Of course, it's by one understand it's pixelated and dated. But the hand-drawn graphics still look pretty good, and this game is actually quite colorful, which doesn't really hurt its atmosphere, and it does prove that horror games can be colorful and still be horror games. Yeah, this game is set in New England around 100 years ago, and you take the role of a British journalist named John Parker, and you're supposed to investigate Halley's Comet, which is about to pass over the town within the next 3 days. And the reason for that is that the last time that happened, which was 76 years ago, a scientist who investigated the comet went mad. And that's pretty much all I'm going to tell you, because everything else would just be spoilers, and I don't want to spoil this game for you, because this game is actually pretty good. It might even be the best Lovecraftian game released, at least compared to other games that stick more closely to Lovecraft stories and aren't just inspired by them or use the characters. Yeah, this game has a pretty good atmosphere and also a pretty good soundtrack. The only gripe I have with that is that the soundtrack just loops endlessly, so it's not really tuned to what you see on the screen. Even though there are some areas where they use a special track or where you don't have any sound and just ambient sound, which still works pretty well. Voice acting is pretty solid. You even have those portraits occasionally when you talk to people. The speed and the lip syncing are a little bit out of sync, but that's alright, because this game was designed for much weaker machines as we have it today. And even back in the late 90s, when this game was a couple of years old, it showed that it couldn't really handle modern processors or faster processors that well. But I'm not going to blame the original makers of this game for that, because they really couldn't know that. So, this game's puzzles, they are pretty solid overall. Some of them don't make a lot of sense, at least with regard to the story. For the most part, they still make sense with regard to gameplay and the puzzles themselves, which I appreciate. So you have 3 days, and you have to do certain tasks on those 3 days, but there are no dead ends. You can die, but afterwards you can just reload, but you won't just miss something on day 1 and then on day 3 you find out that you missed it and you have to play 4 or 5 hours again. That's not going to happen, and I appreciate that a lot, because it wasn't really standard even in the early to mid 90s. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this game. It's pretty good. If you have the opportunity, you should definitely get it. It's still for sale digitally today, and I'm not going to go into detail about the story because I don't want to spoil it for you. So yeah, if you like Lovecraft, you should get this game, and if you like adventure games, you should get this game too, even if you aren't a big Lovecraft fan. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Shadow of the Comet. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time. Take care and goodbye.